All right, so then how do you find the same information from an equation? So number one, the first question, is this a minimum or a maximum? So remember, that's your A value right here. And because it is positive, it is a happy face. So if it's a happy face, it's going to give me a minimum. All right. Now, to find the value for the minimum, again, you can just put this in a graphing calculator and look, because we've already done it from a graph, but I will do it from an equation just in case you prefer that. So to find the minimum or maximum, in this case the minimum, you'd need to find the vertex. To find the vertex from an equation, you use x equals negative b over 2a. So let me go ahead and label my a, b, and c. So my a right here is invisible 1. My b is negative 8. My c is 6. All right, so now we're going to plug it into the formula. So it goes negative, and then b. What is b? Negative 8. Over 2 times a is 1. Plug that into the calculator. You're going to get 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So the vertex happens when x equals 4. So what's my y value when x equals 4? We're just going to plug that into the calculator. So where I see x, I'm going to put 4. So what is my y value? So I have x squared, so I have 4 squared minus 8 times 4 plus 6. Plug all of that into the calculator, and you're going to get 16 minus 32 plus 6. That's going to give me negative 10. What is the y-intercept? Remember, from an equation, your y-intercept in standard form is going to be your c. So my y-intercept is 6. Number 4, what is the average rate of change in that interval? So to get it, remember, so we write down our x1, our y1. x1, x2. So x1 is given in the problem as 0 and x2 is 2. So 0 and 2. And what we have to do is I have to find out what is the value of y when x is equal to 0. So we're just going to, again, plug it into here, into the equation. So you've got s of, what am I looking for? When x is 0. So when x is 0, so plug in 0 squared minus 8 times 0 plus 6. What is that equal to? So that's just going to be 6. So when x is 0, y is 6. When x is 2, so everywhere I see an x, I'm plugging in 2. I'm going to get 2 squared minus 8 times 2 plus 6. And go ahead and put that in a calculator. I'm going to get 4 minus 16 plus 6. That's going to give me negative 6. Okay, so I found my y2 is negative 6. And then we're going to do, remember, change in y over change in x, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that's given to you in a formula. So to do it, it's box minus box over box minus box, okay? So that we can make sure that we get our signs right. And we're just putting it in. Y2 is negative 6. Y1 is positive 6. X2 is 2. X1 is 0. All right, then you're going to put that in the calculator. That's going to give me negative 12 over 2. So my average rate of change is negative 6. Okay, last question. What are the root solutions, zeros, and x-intercept? So to do that, I can just use the quadratic formula. But once again, I'm just going to plug it into the calculator and look. So remember, my roots, my zeros is where it crosses the x-axis. X equals. All right, so once again, to find the roots, we're just going to put it in the calculator. So you go to Desmos/practice. Once you're in there, you're going to choose assessment, choose the state that you're in, high school graphing calculator, start practice, and you're putting in the equation. So you're going to put it in as y equals, and then it says x squared, x shift 6, 2, or you can use the keypad down here to do the squared button right there. Click out of that, minus 8x plus 6. And remember, the roots is where what crosses the x-axis. So you just need to go and look. It says 0.838. So x equals 0.8, I lost it, 38. And x equals, the second point right crosses the x-axis, 7.162. 7.162. All right, so we're going to do this whole question in the calculator just so I can make sure that we understand how to use the calculator. So again, go to Desmos /practice, choose your state and high school graphing, start to practice. And first question, is this a maximum or minimum? So remember, to find the maximum or minimum, you just look at that first number. It's negative, which means sad. So that's a maximum. So number one would be a maximum. All right, number two is, what is the maximum value? So what is that maximum right there? Now we can calculate this by hand, but I just said that I'll show you using a calculator. So we're just going to put it in. So it's -16. Sorry, so it's H, and you can type it in as is, like you can do H of T, or you can type in Y equals, whichever one your preference is, it doesn't matter. So let me just type it in exactly what it looks like, T squared, Shift 6, or you can click this button right there. Click out of that and then do +40T plus 20. Okay, so that's your equation, and you can now, just like we did the first question, we can use all of these answers from the graph. So I have a max. Let me go to the max. So here's my max. I've clicked out of it. You see, it won't tell me, but if I click that box, the point comes back. My max happens at when x is 1.25 and y is equal to 45. All right, so y is equal to 45. So my max happens at 45. All right, what is the y-intercept? Where does it cross the y-axis? Okay, so where does it cross the y-axis? It crosses the y-axis. Really, you can just do it right from the equation at 20. Okay, but I will, since I'm showing you on the calculator, I'll go to the calculator. So it's around 20. I'm gonna zoom in. So on the calculator, zoom in. Zoom in as much as you want to. So you see, it crosses right there at 20. Okay, so my y-intercept is at 20. All right, my average rate of change on the interval 0, 2. So remember, this is x1, this is x2. Now I need to find what y1 and y2 are. So when x is 0, what is y? So again, I can do it off the graph, but it can be a little bit cumbersome because it's asking me when x is 0. Well, that one I know. When x is 0, y is 20. Okay, so that one I know from the y-intercept, because that's the y-intercept. So x is 20. When x is 2, though, 1, 2, see, now I've already lost it. It looks like it's 35, but I'm just going to double check. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in here, and you're going to click the wheel, and then you're going to hit table. When it gives you the table, something's wrong. So let me just use y equals. So I'm just going to change y. Let's see if that's, yeah. So that, I don't know, it doesn't like that h of t. So just change it to y equals. All right, so when x is 0, y is 20. And when x is 2, and all you're doing is you're just, this is x or t. When x is 2, it's 36. All right, so you see I'd have gotten this one wrong because I'd have said it was 35, right? So it's 36 when x is 2, to be exact. So use the table, don't use your eyes on that because the graph is not very clear. All right, so then again, remember it's change in y over change in x. What does that mean? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, to do that, you do box minus box over box minus box. And you just put it in y2. Y2 is 36, so you put in 36. Y1 is 20, so you put in 20. X2 is 2, so you put in 2. X1 is 0, so you put in 0, and you just let the calculator do the work for you. So you go 36 minus 20, 16, and you go 2. Listen, 2 minus 0. If they give me a calculator, I'm going to use it. And then you put it right here, 16 over 2 is 8. So my average rate of change is 8. And then last question is, what are the roots of the solution? Where does it cross the x-axis? All right, I'm just going to type it in again because I'm just going to copy and paste it because I don't want it to be a table anymore. And you'll see why in just a second. So y equals, And we're just going to delete the rest of this. I don't need this. All right, boom. The reason I did that is because of this. When I click here and I come here, you see how the dot's already there for me? That's what I'm looking for. So my x is negative 0.427. X is negative 0.427. And my other x is equal to 2.927. 2.927. And unless the question asks me to round, I don't round. Okay, so don't round unless the question asks you to round. So now you've got the answers from a graph, from a table, from an equation, and from a context problem. Then it just becomes an issue of comparing. So anytime you're comparing, just find the information for each individual problem and then come and answer the question. So which functions have a minimum at their vertex? So minimum was my first question. So that one has a minimum. So which functions have a minimum at their vertex? That would have been function A. This one was also a minimum. This one's also a minimum. That's a maximum. So the question is which function has a maximum at the vertex? That's function D. Okay, so again, once you've worked it out for each individual problem, then you compare it. So when they give you a question about comparing, you want to do it for each individual instant and then look at it. Which function is increasing at a faster average rate of change? So we're looking at average rate of change, which is question 4. Okay, which function is increasing at the faster average rate? So question 4, average rate of change is negative 6.25. Here it's negative 4. Here it is negative 6. And at D, it is 8. So which one is the fastest? Negative 2.65, negative 4, negative 6, or positive 8? Obviously, it's positive 8, right? So D, how do I know? Because the average rate of change, AROC, is 8, which is higher than A. A's negative 2.65, B's negative 4, and C's negative 6. Okay, so it's got the highest average rate of change. Which function has the least minimum or max value? So which one has the least, the smallest? So what is the minimum max value is question 2. So this one has negative 3, this one has 2, this one has 4, no, I'm sorry, negative 10, and this one has 45. So which one is the least out of all those? Negative 3, 2, negative 10, or 45? Negative 10. So that one's going to be C. Which function has the least one negative root? So the questions on roots are question 5. So I look at question 5. Which function, so let me find all of them. This one doesn't have any roots. Here's this one, and here's this one. And the question is, which function has at least one negative root? Okay, so at least one negative root means 1 or 2, okay? So these are both positive. These are both positive. This one has 1 negative, 1 positive, so this one, D, is the function that has at least one negative root. So once again, when you're comparing quadratics, you want to find out the information for each, whatever it is you're comparing, each one, and then answer the question. And that's pretty much it.